Hello, I'm Mantastic and Fantastic, and today I'm going to be talking about the Devil May Cry collab that has just come to North America this morning. So, the Devil May Cry collab is potentially an exciting event if you only look at the top rarity cards, because in fact, at the top rarity, I would say they have incredible value, but in that same breath, the disparity between the top and the bottom rarity cards is probably the largest of any event I've actually seen. There is virtually no value in 84% of the rolls in this event, which is incredibly distressing. And of those 84%, there are only 4 cards there. And even though every single card does have a weapon assist, most of the 5-star cards are still garbage. And in fact, it is only the very first 5-star card here, Nico, who is actually an orb skin card, who has a 3.5% chance of being rolled. But basically, a 5-star card has an 87.5% chance of being rolled. And only one of them at 3.5% is actually useful. So, another way to conceptualize these bad rolling odds is you have an 8-sided die. You have to roll the 8 to get what you want. Good luck rolling an 8 on a regular basis. It's not going to happen. This is not a good event to roll in for any player. New players shouldn't be rolling here because the vast majority of rolls are going to be at the very bottom tier. All of the normally easy to acquire 5-star cards, 84% of the cards are bad or very bad. It's not a good looking event overall for those regards. But I guess on the bright side is that you can technically IAP the orb skin card, you can IAP one of the 6 stars, and you can also just monster exchange for the 6 stars. So if you're in a position where you feel like your teams are not putting in enough effort, so to speak, and you're not actually progressing through as much content as you're hoping you could, 3 out of the 5 6-star cards are actually tremendously strong leaders. And if one of those is appealing enough, and if you can field a strong team for them, and you have enough trade fodder to acquire them, it can be beneficial to actually monster exchange because it might be able to advance your own level of progress. But with that being said, I want to take a look at each of the individual cards in greater detail. But before that, I want to give you just a quick little summary of you can kind of just quickly look and see all the different weapon assists, and they're really not providing much of awakenings that we actually want to see. There's not that many awakenings. The only reason why the 5-star the orb skin card is actually useful is because she actually has a valuable active skill with a weapon. So, first things first, let's go to the 6-star cards. And most of them actually transform and follow a similar pattern. So, Dante is the first and probably the star of this event, and they naturally come with 2 skill boosts and require 18 to transform. So, your net effect is you only need to have 16 skill boosts, which can make your life a little bit easier, especially if you're not pairing with utilizing any other transforming card. It can just come up a little faster. But once he does transform, boy oh boy, he does become quite terrifying. He has 3 devil killers, which is 27 times personal damage against devils, just all the time. And then he has 777 combo, so 8 times personal damage against all spawns. So if you put the 2 and 2 together, it's a stupendously high amount of personal damage against devils. It's basically overkill at this point in time, but you're still never having to worry about any devil spawn whatsoever. The active skill also removes all bind and awoken bind skills and creates 5 fire orbs at random. These are just powerful active skills, which is just going to be the norm for transforming cards. And as a leader, they are quite spicy, and they follow a relatively similar multiplier template for a lot of the other cards in this machine. But basically for him, you gain bonus stats for just being a fire attribute card, and then when you hit 7 or more combos, you activate your full attack multiplier. That's incredibly easy to do, and he gets extra zest if you connect 6 or more fire orbs. If you do so, you get +2 combo count and 25% damage reduction. This is not tied to your attack multiplier activation requirement. This is just kind of supplemental, so to speak, but at the same time, it might become your norm matching depending on who you asymmetrically pair with, because it is usually best to asymmetrically pair with someone because Dante provides you with bonus combos. He would love to have auto follow-up attack. So, one other thing that I want to mention is that he does not have any VDP potential, which can be a little alarming. You have all this damage output, but no way to actually hurt void spawns. But in the future, when we can pair with the red transforming witch, which will come out at some point in the near future, Rimu will be able to solve all your VDP issues while also being a tremendously powerful pairing, because with the 2 cards together, you have 3 times health, which should be enough to tank any reasonable hit in the game. You have 390 times attack, so big multipliers, 1.5 times recovery, which definitely does seem a little lacking, but you also still have 43.75% damage reduction, 1 million auto follow-up attack damage, and +2 combos. So this is all you have to do is match 6 or more fire orbs and you achieve all of this greatness. Definitely doable overall. And even though the RCV may feel a little lacking, utilizing healing solutions such as Amaterasu, which is probably the best in this case, can solve all of your healing needs with a single match of 4 heart orbs. So together, these two are able to form one of the strongest teams in the game because they have huge multipliers, huge survivability. Their active skills for both leaders are powerful and they can counter mechanics while also being short cooldowns. And it's a matter of just populating your team with other things you need to have. So several subs that I've managed to find that seem reasonably valuable are like things like Duval, Paulone, Base Grandis, who will transform in 30 turns, which is fine, Pixel Erd, Super Reincarnated Horse. These are just several cards that I've found that seem to work reasonably well. Your key is to balance enough skill boost while having the healing solution. So like from what I've seen, Grandis, Paulone, Amaterasu, Duval seem to be all very popular choices because they all provide something meaningful that you really can't necessarily replicate elsewhere. But again, another thing to keep in mind is Dante has no skillbind resist in either form. So depending on the types of subs and cards you are using, you need to be mindful of if you have enough skillbind resist for floor 1. In terms of his weapon assist, they provides a tape resist and a super follow-up attack and a 99 turn fire orb skyfall buff. So 99 turns of buff skyfalls is great because you just are going to be having orbs on a more regular basis. You can activate more consistently. Life is just happier. Tape resist is always nice to have. Like you're usually going to have it somewhere, so at least it's coming with a valuable active skill. The only drawback is I feel that super follow-up attack will go underutilized on mono fire teams because mono fire teams have enough auto follow-up attack damage potential of Remu, and they don't really have many other cards that stack super follow-up attack to really take advantage of it when it does receive its buff in the future. Super follow-up attack can be utilized for the 99,999 true damage in the future to bypass like A10 or the latent Tamadras, but at the same time, guard break is cleaner and auto follow-up attack is exceptionally clean. So I feel like it's just tagging on a super follow-up attack and not actually helping. And at the same time, if you only rolled one of them, you're not going to want to create this weapon assist because you're probably going to want to actually take advantage of this incredibly strong leader instead. And that's going to be the case for most of the top rarity cards. Their transform state tends to surpass their weapon assist. So Vergil, similar idea to most of the other transforming cards in this event. You start with 2 skill boosts, no skill bind resist, and when they transform, still no skill bind resist, but it only took 16 more skill boosts to transform. And once transformed, it follows a relatively similar pattern to Dante in the sense that they have 3 Devil Killers, and instead of 777 combo, they have 3 VDPs, but they also get super blind and super jam resist. So as a whole, Vergil is stronger in terms of resist, but weaker in terms of universal damage. Yes, you do have gigantic damage when you match that VDP, and of course against Devil Spawns, but 7 combos tend to be more reliable for most other floors. Of course, that being said, just make sure you team build accordingly. You have other cards who can deal meaningful amounts of damage without actually having to match that 3x3 box. In terms of his new transformed active, he provides you a 2.5 times buff to recovery and attack, so overriding any attack or any RCV debuff with ease, along with a tri-elemental board changer that creates water, dark, and heart orbs. On a 6-turn cooldown, outrageously high value active skill, but again, that is just what transforming cards do. In terms of his leader skill, he has strong multipliers, same multipliers as the other transforming cards here. You just need a water attribute card and match water and dark orbs. Incredibly easy to do. So you might think, wow, this guy is great. I could use him as a leader and do wonderful stuff. The main problem is he lacks an ideal asymmetrical pairing. Like, we don't have someone who can really synergize well. Yes, with that attacker typing, you can pair a Fasco, which creates you that 7x6 board, high attack multipliers overall, high RCV, like, strong team. But the problem is, at this point in time, 7x6 is punished in Alt Arena 4 and Arena 6. It's not that you cannot use it, it's just that it's less preferred because you have to do this horrible dance of no Hime, which is much less enjoyable overall. So it's not to say that Vergil has no asymmetrical pairings, it's just he has no ideal asymmetrical pairings for the current meta we are enjoying. But with that being said, Vergil is still an unbelievably strong sub because this jam-packed active skill, which is a guaranteed kill board basically, tricolor board changer with attack buff, you're going to kill stuff. You can fully resist blind attacks. You have comically high devil damage with VDP. So as a whole, if you can squeeze Vergil into your teams, he definitely can be valuable. And I know some people have been looking into replacing Blue Odin with Vergil for their Norza Yomi teams. It definitely can work because both cover the super blind, and Vergil obviously provides much more offensive capabilities with the same low 6-turn base cooldown. But the main drawback is Blue Odin does provide 2 more skill boosts, which can make or break your team potentially. And Blue Odin also has tape resist, which again might be something you cannot incorporate into your team otherwise. It all depends on your team composition. And for myself, if I did magically roll Vergil, I'll probably try and figure out how to work him into my team. But at the same time, it may not necessarily work because I may not have enough skill boosts at that point in time unless I modify things more. And at the same time, I have Yuri, who has Devil Killers, who does enough damage to kill the strong Devil spawn. So I don't actually need this Devil offensive prowess. I have enough Devil killing potential already. So it's kind of like, it's nice, but it's not necessarily going to help me personally. It definitely will help many other players. In terms of his weapon assist, they provide a skill boost and 3 enhanced water orbs. So if you need to transform your Motto Water, you have a way to layer in passive damage and transform easily. And the active skill that comes with this weapon is powerful with a long cooldown, which means it won't accidentally charge up. But if it does charge up, you have 3 turns of damage absorption void, so a Fujin style active skill, along with the ability to clear all unable to match orb effects. So this is definitely jam-packed and powerful, and it can definitely be utilized on floor 3, and if you get floor 4's Persephone, because on floor 3 you can have the unable to match orb effect, and then there's a damage absorption after, you can get it to work. The main drawback is you're not going to be able to use this active skill very often, and you cannot rely on it for clearing unable to match orb effects because it may not be up in time for subsequent encounters. And that's the main reason why I'm less attracted to this weapon assist, along with the fact that Vergil in their transform state is an insanely strong sub. So I just feel like it is a reasonable weapon assist, but it does not compete against Vergil's transformational state. Next is Nero. Again, Nero, 2 skill boosts in their base form. Transform, they need 18, so 16 net to transform. Reasonably, much more doable overall. But once they transform, they gain triple VDP and super poison resist, but that's kind of it. They do get a skill bind resist, which is, I guess, nice because the other transforming cards didn't have it, but we can definitely make up for skill bind resist in other ways. Once transformed, their active skill creates 2 wood orbs and reduces all awoken binds by 2 turns. So not a bad active skill. And their leader skill, same nice multipliers, and you just need to be a wood attribute card, use an active skill, which Nero himself does, and then you need to match 5 or more connected wood orbs for your full multipliers. That gives you when you match 5 or more wood orbs, you get the damage reduction and bonus combo count. So easy to achieve. You basically just need to use an active skill and you get your full multiplier. This is strong, but kind of like Vergil, same problem. You don't have an ideal asymmetrical pairing. You do provide plus combos. You ideally want to have strong auto follow-up attack, but wood really lacks strong auto follow-up attack, and they kind of have to rely on super follow-up attack in the future when it does get buffed, or other creative means like poisons or guard break or something along those lines to actually bypass A10 and the latent Madras. So Nero just kind of falters in that case. I've been informed that some cards in another collab that just came out in Japan can make Nero a much stronger leader because they give him a wonderful asymmetrical pairing, but there is no guarantee that will come to North America, so don't hold your breath. So at this point in time, Nero sadly does not have any truly ideal asymmetrical pairing, along with the fact that his kit just feels weaker. It's not as unique and over the top extreme. And at this point in time, with thousands of cards in the game, you want to be kind of over the top and kind of extreme. Nero is still a reasonably strong card, but he's just nowhere near as sensational compared to the other options in this event. In terms of his weapon assist, he provides skill bind resist and team health along with 99 turns of wood skyfalls. So this is powerful if you can accommodate it, but the problem is the only resist it provides is skill bind resist, which may or may not be an issue because wood is not super heavy into transforming, and you may have enough skill bind resist anyways, but at the same time you're not covering things like blind, poison, cloud, etc., so it may be harder to justify this weapon assist because it's not providing as much overall. And in terms of which form you should pursue, it really will come down to who you can make better use of. Do you want a strong VDP sub, or do you want to have 99 turns of wood skyfalls for your mono wood teams? Both I feel are reasonably on par with each other. Next card is V, and V in their base form actually has tremendous leadership potential when paired with Yugi. So let's take a look at why this occurs. So V has potentially 5 effective skill boosts, because 4 with Awakenings and Super Awakenings, and then 1 haste from their 7-turn active skill, which will be ready. So right away, Yugi needs 20 turns to transform. So you solve 25% of your skill boost requirements with your leader. This will definitely make team building much easier because you only need 15 skill boosts across 4 subs, which is definitely doable. I'm confident that you can find that number of skill boosts with weapon assists, as well as things like even just a single Fortress Dragon or Diao Chan. Those are going to solve your skill boost needs. So your team building is much easier, and also gives players a chance to utilize Yugi if you missed that collab in the past. Because their leader skill is fixed 8 seconds of movement time, that gives you bonus stats for being a devil type, and then your full attack multiplier and increased combo count by 2 when matching 6 or more connected Dark Orbs at once. So same leader skill activation requirements as Yugi, same devil typing, and you do lose out the RCV multiplier, but you have the bonus skill boost, and you have the fixed 8 seconds of movement time. So on a 6x5 board, I feel that 8 seconds should be enough. It may be a little stressed or strained sometimes, but it should be enough overall. And you do have to remember, you do get +2 combos for matching that row or blob of Dark Orbs, so you are going to hit those combo shield requirements. And you are completely immune to any time debuff, which is huge in Altarena 4 because there are so many time debuffs, and you no longer have to worry about overwriting them. You just naturally are immune to them, which is a big deal. And he also comes with Super Jam Resist, which may or may not be ideal, but at the same time, Poison Resist is not as important because you have Yugi, who is immune to poison damage. So with the 2 cards together, you have the big 4 times health, 400 times multiplier, 2 times RCV, the auto follow-up attack damage, the +2 combo count, and fixed movement time. Quite a few things going on under the hood, with the only kind of problematic issue is the RCV may be a bit lower, which in turn means you might want to run the RCV badge, which should be okay because if you think about it, 4 times health is enough to survive anything anyways, and being able to fully recover your health becomes the most important aspect. In terms of V's evolved form, this is not a transform state. V does not transform. I feel that they are much weaker overall because you're losing out on the chance of using such a strong leader. But V in their evolved form can also have the same 4 effective skill boosts through Awakenings, but you may want to pursue offensive Awakenings because they can gain 777 combo with a VDP and having super blind resist. So you might think this is quite a strong sub potentially. Like you could have high skill boost, you could have high damage, but you could have super blind resist. But the problem is their active skill, I feel, is quite weak for the applications of arenas because it's dealing 500,000 damage to an enemy 3 times. And I'm not 100% sure if this is true damage or not because Mirrorbot's not telling me. Some people said it might be true damage. And if it is true damage, you could technically button your way down through the latent Tamadras or A10 or maybe some other farming content. But I still feel like it is a much more underwhelming active skill by comparison because if you are utilizing mono dark teams, you're probably going to be paired with Yugi in some way, shape, or form because Yugi just happens to be the best at what we want to have at this point in time. So you have enough auto follow-up attack damage to overcome those spawns, so you don't need this active skill. So for 8 turns, you're not going to be doing much in arena level content, and I feel like that is definitely a drawback. And at the same time, these base form is a tremendously strong leader. You may want to actually have a great leader to pair with Yugi to start clearing endgame content. So as a whole, I'm much more inclined to make or retain their base form instead of pursuing their evolved state. In terms of V's weapon assist, it gives you cloud resist and a super a movement time plus, along with 2 turns of haste and healing some. So with the 2 turns of haste and the 12-turn cooldown, if you inherit them onto someone who has a low base cooldown, you can technically provide 2 more effective skill boosts. But the problem is, you're never going to want to use this active skill ever again. 2 turns of haste is probably not going to help you out anymore. So you're going to be stuck with a 12-turn inherit that is not going to be helpful on a card who had a low base cooldown, which you may or may not necessarily be spamming. If it's inherited on someone who will spam often, then that is fine. But if it's someone who's not going to have a nice, desirable base active skill, this weapon assist is not going to work well. And at the same time, as bad as it sounds, I feel like anything that has a cloud resist has to be truly great because Fake and Rye is just such a powerful weapon assist with skill boost, Cloud Resist, 2 team health, and an exorbitantly long base cooldown to prevent accidental charging up, that it makes it hard for other Cloud Resists to truly shine unless they are bringing something more meaningful, which is not the case here. Lastly, we come to Lucia for the 6-star cards. And Lucia, again, has 2 skill boosts in her base form, so she can transform a bit more easily after 18 threshold has been met. And once she is transformed, oh boy, she has comically high personal damage because she has double 7 combo and a 10 combo, which translates into 20 times personal damage against any spawn as long as you hit 10 or more combos. Furthermore, her active skill is now a 4-turn cooldown that gives you +2 combo count, as well as clearing all unable to match orb effects by 5 turns. That should be enough for the vast majority of given content, so you have a wonderful solution on your leader, which can easily inherit something else to bring additional utility. In terms of their leader skill, this is quite exciting because they're completely immune to all poison damage, so matching poison orbs doesn't hurt you, which is definitely nice. You can not have to worry there. And they provide you stats for being a devil type card, and then your full attack multiplier and increased combo count by 3 when you match 4 or more colors, which should definitely be doable on most given boards, and you get damage reduction when matching 4 or more colors. So naturally, Lucia is a strong rainbow leader, and you can play on 6x5 and reliably hit that 10 combo, because if you think about it, an average board has 7, maybe 8 combos, and +3 is 10 to 11, so you're hitting that threshold, and you can have Skyfalls, assuming you don't pair with a no Skyfall friend. So the big issue for Lucia is you want to pair with someone who has auto follow-up attack damage, because you have the bonus combo count, and you want to just be able to deal with resolve spawns with ease. And looking at the possible options, there are definitely many, but one I want to highlight more is Algae, because if you have Lucia, you can always find an Algae friend because they are strong and powerful. But with the 2 leaders, you have 1.5 times health and recovery, 300 times attack, which is great, and 62.5% damage reduction. You're going to be incredibly hard to kill because that's a lot of damage reduction. You have a reasonable amount of health and RCB multipliers, and as long as you match that L, you're probably not going to die. 4 or more colors is definitely doable. You get +3 combos and 1 million auto follow-up attack damage. So any cards that have 10 combo are going to be proccing reliably. Algae has huge damage output. Lucia has huge damage output. Algae can negate voids with her fast cooldown, so you can pierce through any void spawn, so you don't have to worry about VDPs or the VDP latent potentially. Like, you have lots of solutions with your leaders already built in, and you can just stack in whatever utility you want to have, making sure they are devil-based cards. So as a whole, you can make a wonderfully strong rainbow-based team, but you have to obviously make sure you match around devils and have enough skill boost to transform both your leaders. But I feel like as a whole, Lucia is definitely a tremendously powerful rainbow card who also does provide cloud resist. Like, lots of nice little things sprinkled into Lucia and Algae. In terms of her weapon assist, it's primarily going to be utilized for co-op because of that co-op boost awakening. So if you don't play multiplayer in any way, this weapon assist is going to be much more underwhelming. And at the same time, do you really want to take away Lucia's leadership potential? It is so strong. It looks like such a fun card to use as well. But if you are playing in co-op, you can enjoy 3 enhanced Dark Orbs along with the bigger stats for the owning card, as well as an active skill that removes all bind and awoken bind clears and changes the enemy's attribute to light. So a full bind and awoken bind clear is always helpful, and the attribute change to light technically would help teams who want to cheese against if they have light damage reduction, but that's quite a bit of effort, I feel, by comparison, and also you're giving up the opportunity to use Lucia in her leader form. But it also can be a way for your mono dark teams to gain bonus damage of 2 times, because if you think about it, if the attribute was blue to start, now they're light, you have 2 times damage as dark. It's kind of a weird way to give yourself extra damage output. Situational weapon assist overall, which obviously shines brightest in co-op. So now we come to the 5-star cards, and Nico is the only truly good one, but the problem is they're an orb skin card, which means they only have a 3.5% chance of being rolled, so good luck with that. But the main reason why they're so exciting is because of this active skill. The active skill provides 1 turn of large damage reduction, so you're probably not going to die, it's a panic button, and reduce all unable to match orb effects by 9,000 completely, and remove all bind and awoken bind clears. So a wonderfully powerful active skill tied into this card, and ideally they should be looked at their weapon assist because you're less likely to utilize them as a sub. It's not to say that they're bad, it's just that they're not truly amazing in any way. And I feel like the weapon assist provides more value because it gives you an L unlock, which is always helpful on any team. I like having one L unlock in my teams to deal with locked orbs on an easy basis. But you also have that same powerful active skill. And in endgame content, those two mechanics, Awoken Binds and Unable to Match Orb effects, are quite common. And the main benefit is that it's only a 10-turn cooldown, so it should be doable to have it ready on a regular basis for whatever you might need. So, with that in mind, you can utilize this in Arena 4, Arena 6, and if you face Odin Dragon, well, you counter out his Unable to Match Orb effect and his Awoken Bind Clear with a single active skill. And being able to solve multiple problems with one active skill is definitely meaningful, and if you are a person who has the funds to IAP and lacks any type of active skill that does this type of stuff, it might be beneficial to directly purchase this Orb Skin card instead of actually rolling in here otherwise. Because now we come to the Trish, because the 5-star cards at this point in time just go downhill. So Trish does have 2 God Killers and the ability to take God Killer Latents, so I guess if you have no god-killing solutions whatsoever, it can be potentially useful for maybe some ranking dungeons possibly, or some farming builds. It's very situational. It's a low-value card. I would not go out of my way to try and acquire her. She's not that great, but a little bit of potential use there. And I guess if you're a brand new player and you roll her, she does have reasonable leader skill. All you have to do is be devil type and hit 5 or more combos. Easy to do, but you'll definitely roll something better in the near future, and she's not worth rolling for. If you get her from your free roll, okay, sure, but the point is you really shouldn't be rolling in this event, because if you look at this weapon assist, you get 2 enhanced light orbs, which is really not that much, and an active skill that does not provide enough. You reduce damage taken by 30%, reduce Awoken Binds by 2 turns, an orb changer. It's not a high impact enough active skill to truly be meaningful at this point in time. And a 5-turn cooldown is going to charge up by accident too often. Lady has potentially reasonable VDP potential, but at the same time, she doesn't offer anything else but some VDP. Her active skill does bypass Attribute Absorb, so I guess if you are facing something with Attribute Absorb, it can be helpful, but maybe you want to just keep it in the weapon assist. You get 2 rows, so if mono row water teams could benefit from it. If you know you're going to face things with color absorb, it can be helpful. But the problem is you're not providing any true resist. If it provided resists and other meaningful awakenings, it could have been a reasonable weapon assist, but that is sadly not going to be the case here. This individual here does come with super blind resist, but they do absolutely nothing else. You're not going to want to run them as a sub. Their active skill is this is 2020. This active skill looks like it's from 2016. It's uninspiring. It is garbage. It's not going to do anything. And you're not going to want to run them as a sub because you can find blind resist in many other ways because they're not providing anything else. And their weapon assist, I'm struggling to find any relevant usage for it. It gives you some auto heal. It gives you potentially a small 30,000 heal. I don't know what this weapon, I don't know why this card exists, but they are going to represent 21% of the rolls you do. And I don't know what they do, and that's bad. And then lastly, we come to Kyrie, and she does provide you with several enhanced hard orbs and the ability to take cloud or tape resist through super awakening. So reasonable utility in that sense, but she has abysmally low weighted stats. The active skill is not bad, but the problem is she provides 0 skill boost. And generally speaking, most things are going to transform. At least one card is probably going to transform. And having a card of 0 skill boost means they could have been a transforming card. Or this could have been A10. The point is, for 0 skill boost, you have to bring something truly great to the table, and she's just not doing that. The active skill does reduce Unable to Match Orb effects by 3 turns, reduce Bind and Awoken Binds by 3 turns, increase orb movement time by 1 turn. It's an okay active skill, but it's not high impact enough. It may not solve the needs because you might have those effects at a 5-turn debuff, not 3 turns, so you don't fully clear it, so it's not providing the answer you need. Maybe I'm just being biased and I'm comparing it to stronger weapon assists that exist when you eventually go to a weapon assist form, like Shano from Samurai Showdown. It's a much stronger weapon assist that fully clears Bind and Awoken Binds and all Unable to Match Orb effects. So, you want to be able to clear those things completely. And even though it is a faster 5-turn cooldown, it's not. I'd rather spend a bit more turns to fully address all my problems. So it's the main reason why she could have had the potential to be reasonable, but she just has some unfortunate awakenings that are just not pulling her weight overall. So, do I plan to roll this event? The answer is no. I don't plan to roll here because 84% of the rolls are going to be terribly disappointing. I will not have a use for 84% of the rolls here. And I know the odds. This is low chance for me to be happy. And if I truly wanted something, I would Monster Exchange for it. But at the same time, I don't feel like Monster Exchanging anyone here is going to necessarily advance my own level of progress. I have a team that can farm Altarina 4 comfortably. I don't necessarily need to change it. Having more options would definitely be nice for variety, but from like a practicality standpoint, I don't need it. It's something I want, not need. But if you're in the case where you have no team that can clear these types of contents, and if any of the above leaders are appealing, you can make strong teams for them, it might be worth Monster Exchanging for, because then you can start clearing endgame content. That's the difference I want to make. Is it a want or a need? But with that being said, let's just dream about what could possibly happen in an ideal world. So for the 6-star cards, all of them, for the most part, are truly wonderful, and it's hard to necessarily pick one that I want to have more than the other. But I feel like in terms of what will open up the most interesting stuff for my monster box would be Dante, because I have no strong fire leader. It would actually allow me to use all the various fire cards sitting in my box. But at the same time, I don't own Duval, but I do own at least Polone, Amaterasu, Horus. I can Monster Exchange for Grandis. I do have Pixel. I do have several things, but skill boosts are definitely going to be an issue for my team overall. So I still need to figure out, can I really make it work? But again, this is all hypothetical. If I do get V or Lucia, I definitely could field strong teams for them, but again, it may not necessarily surpass what I currently have. I feel like Lucia would be fun to have because just matching freely feels nice compared to mono color teams, which say are blob oriented. It can be refreshing, but again, my Yomi Norza team still clears everything. In terms of the 5-star cards, Nico is just kind of the default winner. There's no one really better. Like, the 5-star is truly depressing. So, in conclusion, the Devil May Cry collab has the largest disparity between the top and the bottom rarity, with the bottom rarity being so bad that 84% of them are just going to be sad. And with that in mind, I really wouldn't spend magic stones and roll in here because you're just going to be sad the vast majority of the time. Remember, 1 out of 8 chance to get a 5-star card. Do you want to roll an 8-sided dice and pray you get those lucky 8s every single time? Probably not. But at the same time, if you do feel like you can gain enough value out of the top rarity cards, Monster Exchanging for them is definitely the way to go if you feel like it can help you advance your level of progression within the game. With that being said, let me know what you think about the Devil May Cry collab in the comments below. Do you think you would actually roll in here or utilize the Monster Exchange or IAP methods to acquire the cards you want? Either way, hopefully you have a Mantastic day. I wish you all the best luck in your own pad adventures, and happy puzzling.